Hi, Danny. Just wondering about what was the timeline for this? When did you start having conversations about making this trade, and specifically Provorov and these teams?
The last couple of weeks, I've had a few different discussions on Ivan. Um, there's other teams involved, but it really seemed like the best fit was with Columbus, and the interest was really high on Columbus side. So we started focusing on that a little bit more in the last couple of days.
Gianna, do you have a follow-up?
I'm good, thank you.
Charlie O'Connor, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hi, Danny. I guess this is more just a bigger picture question, but what went into the decision to trade Ivan Provorov? What drove the decision on your part?
Well, part of it is that we are in a rebuilding stage, and we felt that you know the picks and the direction that we wanted to go in. It was really enticing, very exciting. We have a chance to really kind of start building the team the way we want it, the right way that we've talked about. And it kind of starts with that. It wasn't an easy decision. Ivan has been, uh, a really good soldier for the Flyers for a lot of years. A lot of sweat, a lot of hits he's taken, a lot of pucks he's blocked. So he's really poured his heart out into the Flyers. So it wasn't an easy decision, but for us, what we were looking at is young guys and picks. We've said it from the beginning, so that was the major reason behind it.
Follow-up, Charlie?
Yeah, just kind of following up on that. Obviously, Ivan has been for years your guy's number one defenseman, the big minutes guy. That's a key piece for any team, not just in terms of trying to win now, but also in terms of how the rest of the depth chart fills out. I guess, why did you feel like future assets matter more to the long-term plan than his present value here?
Well, I mean, sometimes you have to pay the price to get good assets back as well. And we're not denying the fact that Ivan is a good defender. And he's put in heavy minutes for us, and it's going to be tough to replace him. But at this time, we felt that the assets we were getting, to build the team we want to build in the future. That was critical, and you have to give up good players and good assets in return. You don't get first round picks for players that don't have interest from other team. You got to play ball both sides, and we had to give up a good player for that.
Jordan Hall, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny, thanks for doing this.
Sure.
Danny, I was just curious, in your conversations with Ivan, did he express a desire for a change of scenery? Just how were your conversations with him leading up to the off season and in the days leading up to this trade?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into the details of that. All I'd like to say is thanks to Ivan for being a great soldier for a lot of years. And at this time, we felt it was in the best of interest for everybody to make this trade.
Follow-up, Jordan?
No, thanks. I'm good. Appreciate it.
Adam Kimmelman, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny.
Yeah.
This is a pretty significant move for you guys. You've used the word rebuilding a couple of times since you took over as GM, including today. Is this the first of many moves you're planning to make between now and the draft? Do you envision this being the start of kind of what you want to do as far as reshaping the team?
If it makes sense. It all depends if things make sense. We felt this trade made sense at this time for us. That's why we moved ahead. Like I've said earlier, there's always two sides to it, three sides in this case. So you never know. I mean, if it makes sense and there's a good return on other things, we'll consider it, but it's too early to tell.
Follow-up, Adam?
Yeah. The first round, this having a second first round pick in this year's draft, it's considered an incredibly deep crop. How important was that to get this as part of the deal for Ivan?
Yeah, that was the key part of the deal. We have the chance to get a really good player when you're drafting in the top 10 this year in this crop. But it's a deep draft, and we felt we wanted to acquire another pick in the first 2 rounds, not having a second rounder this year. So having a chance to get a number 22 was critical to the deal for us.
Anthony Sanfilippo, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny, I actually have two questions, so I will have a follow-up. The first one, can you tell us a little bit about the defensive prospect Ron's that you got back? What are your impressions of him? Have you seen him personally play, and what can you tell us about him?
No, unfortunately, I haven't seen him play. I had to rely on our scouts for him. I'm excited. I mean, he was a second-round pick, early second-round pick by the Kings, and right shot defenseman, premium position, and a tall, lanky body. So I can't wait to see him play. I don't know too much at the moment, so I'd be lying to you. And I'll wait and reserve my comments after I have the chance to watch him a little bit more.
That's fine. The follow-up question actually has to do with the draft picks. Now you're accumulating a bunch now. You have a couple extra picks this year. You have extra picks next year. Is this something where is this something where you would potentially consider maybe putting some of these together to kind of maybe move up in this draft, considering how good it is? And is there an appetite for that from other teams to potentially look around and see if teams are interested in doing it?
Yeah, well, we're open for business. We'll listen if it makes sense. If the value is there for us, definitely. That's kind of the luxury of having a lot of picks. And unfortunately, in the situation we're at, when you finish a little lower in the standings, you have better picks. It's good and it's bad. You have to suffer for it. But nothing's off the table on our side.
Mike Sealski, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hi, Danny. I have two questions for you too. The first is, Ivan is only 26. Was there any belief or thought that he had stagnated in his development and progression? I mean, it's not often, even if a franchise is rebuilding, that they trade a 26-year-old number one defenseman in his prime.
Yeah, well, the points make it look that way, but also, he wasn't probably put in a position to succeed. What I mean by that is, he didn't have a lot of power play time. So it's not just about the points for Ivan. He's a hard defender. He never bails. He plays hard every single night. So we had a lot of respect for that. We still considered him a top pairing for our team. But again, that's to acquire assets and a first round pick in a deep draft like this year. You have to pay the price, and we had to give up on a good player.
And then my follow-up, was the situation with Pride Night back in January any factor in the decision to trade him?
No, it did not factor into the trade.
Charlie O'Connor, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny, just changing gears real quick. In the trade, you got back Cal Peterson, a goalie from LA. I guess, where do you see him fitting in, given the fact that at one time he was viewed very highly around the league? Obviously, now it seems like his inclusion was more of a salary dump on LA's part. But where do you see him fitting in with you guys?
Well, it's very interesting. We're not too sure at the moment. We'll give him a chance. It'll make for a healthy competition at camp. It's a little too early to tell where he's going to fit in. But like you said, he was a good goaltender. He had an off year last year, so we'll see where he's at.
Follow up, Charlie.
Yeah, I guess kind of as a follow-up on that, I know you've answered a few questions about this in the last few weeks, but in the wake of the trade, there were some, rumors out there about the status of Carter Hart. Obviously, adding a goalie and Cal Peterson adds to that. But Where are you at right now with Carter? Is he on the block, or are you guys just in the process of pretty much listening on everyone?
I'm still in the same spot I was. We're open for business. We listen on everybody. Everybody's being treated the same way for us on our side.
We'll take a few more questions. Ariel Melendez, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny, kind of in a similar vein about Cal Peterson. Obviously, you guys trade out a significant contract in Provorov, but you take back the $5 million in Peterson. With you guys kind of probably not contending for the next couple seasons, are you more willing to take on contracts like that? You get that short term kind of big contract to get maybe some extra pieces. Is that kind of where you guys are right now?
Yeah, well, I think it's a deal that was helping all sides. Columbus wanted their defenseman. We were looking to acquire young assets, either draft pick or young guys. And for LA, it was a chance to create cap space, for what they want to do. So for us, it made a lot of sense acquiring a young guy and a lot of draft picks in the process.
We'll do two more questions. Bill Meltzer, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny. My question is, where do you think that Cam York is in terms of readiness to take on more minutes, more responsibility? It's going to kind of be a group effort to do that without Ivan. And do you feel that younger defensemen, the Mulas, once he's fully rehabbed, or Adder, are ready to step up to the NHL level as full-time players?
Well, we certainly hope so. We want to give our young guys a look, a bigger look. Cam York had the tough training camp, but he went down, put this time in the minors, really came back rejuvenated. Was a great player for us. He's obviously an important part of the future of the Flyers. And Igor Zamula, like you mentioned, Ronnie Adert, Emil Andre. There's other young defensemen that are coming up that are still in college or juniors that will also get looks eventually. I'm not saying right away next year, but eventually. Now Grand, I mean, it's exciting. I mean, and you don't know sometimes. You look at last year where a guy like Tippett got the chance to play more and showed what he was capable of. Same thing with Frost, with Noah Cates, Travis Konechny. So a lot of the young guys took a big step forward, especially up front last year, having more opportunities. And we hope we can do the same in the future with our defensemen. Now there might be some nights where it's going to be tough, but we want to see and have a clearer idea of where our defensemen stand. And hopefully we give them the chance to show us that.
Okay, we'll do one last question before taking questions in French. Anthony Sanfilippo, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
I didn't have my hand raised. Sorry, I didn't mean that. That's my bad.
All good. Pat Allen, you're on with Danny. Go ahead.
Hey, Danny, can you take us through this kind of deal from an internal standpoint, especially with Keith at the Stanley Cup final? Did that make things more difficult? How much was he involved in the process of this?
Yeah, no, actually, no. Keith was great. We're probably on the phone 4 or 5 times a day. And to go in deeper with that, it's been pretty amazing. The Dan Helferty was kept in the loop. Keith Jones was kept in the loop the whole time. Brought in some good ideas. John Tortorella. But if I went even deeper than that, probably the amazing part with this is how like different departments were involved. Obviously, the guys in my area, or assistant GMs and the guys around me were really involved, but our amateur scouts were involved, with the picks, with the young players, what they remembered. Our pro scouts were really helpful with some of the players involved, and our analytics department was really, really creative, helping with that deal. So it was pretty cool how different departments kind of came together. Everybody was involved. It was definitely kind of a team-oriented trade that we came up with. So pretty exciting how the team came together.